Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, the first one, let me introduce myself. My name is Raudhah and my registration number is 2014-050027. Okay guys, today I will present my PowerPoint about the current issues of language learning strategies finding based on existing research literature, Anna or Chamot. Okay, don't take a long time, let's join me. This presentation aims to explain about a number of current issues in language learning strategies that discuss how these issues affect teacher and second and foreign language learners according to Anna Chamot's research. So, the researchers found different language learning strategies for each language learner. Therefore, the issues they found in finding these strategies were: the first one is the identification of strategic language learning. To identify the language learning strategies used by students can be done by self-report. Although this method is not very accurate if the student do not report honestly, but this is still the only way to identify the mental process of student. This statement is accordance with what Grenfell and Harris said, namely, that is not easy to enter the black box of the human brain and find out what is going there. We work with what we have can get our hands with despite limitation provide for food stuff. The reason they say that is because most language learning strategies are not observable. So for that, the only way to know whether students are using language learning strategies in learning a language or doing an assignment is to ask them directly or ask them to describe the process or their learning strategies through interviews, question and answer, writing report, diaries, and writing journals. Each of these methods has limitations, but each of them also provides important insight about language learning strategies that learners can observe. The second issue is terminology and classification of language learning strategies. Language learning classification schemes are generally developed for research purposes, but in classifying language learning strategies is also related to student learning objective or teacher instructional objective. For example, like in language classes where students are trying to develop basic interpersonal communication skill to interact with speakers of the target language, many learning strategies are social. Compensation and effective will be very helpful. But if students are preparing for an exam that focuses on vocabulary and grammar, then memorization strategies can work very well and effective strategies for controlling anxiety can be beneficial. And if students are learning a second language in an academic context, a collection of cognitive learning strategies will help with academic reading, listening, writing, and speaking tasks. The third issue is learning strategy and learner characteristic. This issue explains more about learning variables such as gender and language proficiency level. A gender study shows that the use of strategies between women and men are different, and several studies have found that women use more strategies than men. And there are also those who find no difference in strategies between women and men. And there are also those who find that men use more strategies than women. That is expressed by Wharton 2000 and others. The fourth issue is influence of culture and context. The context of the learning situation and cultural values or society are also expected to have a strong influence on the choice and recipient of language learning strategies. For example, in a culture that values competition, individuals have organized their education system around competitive tasks. The surrounding environment and culture in that environment also have a good and bad influence on language learners. Therefore, most of the successful language learners may prefer strategies that allow them to work alone rather than social strategies that require collaboration with others. The fifth issue is explicit and integrated strategies instruction. Successful language learner might be prefer strategies that allow them to work alone over social strategies that require collaboration with others. However, there is a little agreement on the issue of whether strategy teaching should be integrated into the language curriculum or taught separately. While many argue that integrated instruction gives students opportunity to practice learning strategies with authentic language learning tasks. And the sixth issue is language and instruction. Teaching learning strategies should not be delayed until intermediate or advanced level course because beginners also need strategies that can make their language learning more successful and increase their motivation to study further. Several recent studies on the entry-level proficiency of second language learners have provided instruction on learning strategies in the mother tongue. And the seventh issue is transfer of strategy to new tasks. In the pilot study, semi-structured interviews were conducted with a small group of 12 years old students in their second year of foreign language studies in school in London, Harris 2004. The students have been exposed to instructional strategy instruction in their English class, so they were asked to make an assessment on 16 different strategies, whether each strategy is only useful for learning English, only for learning foreign language, for learning any language or useless. Differences were found between high achievers and low achieving students where high achieving students used more metacognitive strategies and made multiple transfer of strategies from their English class to their foreign language class, whereas low achieving students were less likely to use metacognitive strategies or transfer from English. Okay, the last issues is models for language learning strategy instruction. A number of models of teaching and learning strategies in the context of first and second language have been developed. Johans 1998. Model has teachers take on various roles to help students learn to use learning strategies that suit their own learning style. The Grenfell and Harris model provides an initial introduction to a new strategy, then asks students to create personal action plans to enhance their own learning. Okay guys, that's all the current issues of language learning strategies based on research Anna Chamot. And that's all my presentation today. I'm sorry for my mistake and finally I say wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.